Thanks, Zora, first of all, to agree to come on a Saturday and address especially the India IABC members, as well as people who are on the call who are not members but are interested in IABC, have been attending our conferences and being part of our very thriving WhatsApp group. And quickly, I'll give an introduction of what we are going to have in today's call. First of all, there will be a session by Zora about IABC, about the benefits of being an IABC member, why it is an investment in your career. All the questions that you have regarding IABC will also be answered at a later stage in the call. We have Daniela. Daniela is the incoming chair of IEB, which is the International Executive Board of IABC Global, and she is also joined this call, and we are just happy to welcome her and learn from her about IABC. And we will also have Ashwini. Ashwini is yet to join. Ashwini has a special short 10-minute session on the post-COVID world and how advertising, communications, marketing is looking like, and how what's the outlook for the business. What he's seeing in the market. He's the former CEO of Genesis Burson Marsteller, which is one of the biggest PR agencies in India, and now has set up his own company called Astrum, which is a reputation management firm. He is going to join in a few moments, and we'll have a session from him after Zora, and then after that we will have a Q&A session where Zora and Daniela both will address your questions. Okay, so to begin with, we will have a very short introduction by everybody on your own. So begin with Rajiv.
All right, I'm Rajiv Kumar from Bombay, and I've been a IABC member for 2 decades, and it's been a part of a big family. I also wish to use this occasion to congratulate Zora for leading the APAC into new heights, and it won a lot of awards and recognitions this year. And I'm very glad to see the India chapter also growing stronger and stronger under Subhamay. And I also wish to congratulate Danielle for her election, and wishing IABC a great future.
Thanks, Rajiv. Let's go to Rajesh.
Hi, I'm Rajesh Joshi, journalist for 7 years with the Economic Times, the Daily Business India. After that, I set up comms and headed comms at HDFC Bank for 6 years. Then headed external communications for HSBC for 10 years, the HSBC group in India. And now for the last 4 years, working as an independent consultant with a creative communication and CSR advisory called The Good Edge. I've been a member of the IABC for the last 2 years.
That's wonderful, Rajesh. Great to be on the call. Daniela, you can go ahead and self-introduce yourself as well.
So hi, everybody. I am based in Melbourne, Australia, and have been a member of the IABC for 7 years. I work actually in a consulting engineering company where I head up brand marketing and comms. And we do business in a lot of places across the Southern Hemisphere, but unfortunately not in India. Maybe
okay. You have an opportunity to come as part of the IABC chair and vice chair, right? Thanks, Daniela, and thanks for joining. Sushmita, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sushmita. I'm based out of Delhi. I've been a member of IABC for past 3 years. This year, I have to renew my membership. And this meeting is a great reminder. I lead the communications for Becton Dickinson in India. It's a medical devices company. Thank you, Subho, for this day. Thank you.
Thanks, Sushmita. Krishna joined recently this year, but is a known figure here in the communications, marketing, PR world. Krishna.
Yeah, hi, my name is Krishna Maryanka, and I've been in the field of corporate communications for almost 25 years now, out of which I served about 15 years in Tektronix and Shell, Royal Dutch Shell in India. And I now run a communication agency called Ajira Global, also another company called Brand Kitty. We do brand consulting. Thank you.
Great, Krishna. Anup?
Hi, good morning, everybody.
We can't hear you. If you can increase your volume or come closer to the microphone.
Yeah, is it better now? Good morning.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. I am Anup Sharma. I am a communication consultant. I call myself more of a student of life, keep learning every day. And that's why this early morning thing is there. I run my own independent consulting firm after being part of various PR firms. And I also am part of the PRCAI as in one of the office bearers and try to keep learning from everybody.
Yeah, maybe we can learn more about PRCAI and also let Zora and Danielle know.
Sure, that will be great.
What it is at the end of this.
Great.
Yeah. Going ahead, Vishal, thanks for joining, Vishal.
Hi, good morning. I'm actually a defense media marketing professional, and I've been in the defense industry for the last 20 years. I've worked with all the leading newspapers from Hindustan Times, Times of India, Indian Express, and for the last 15 years, I've been working with the defense field, defense this thing, and currently I'm having my own company, Potential Exhibitions and Media.
I think we lost you, Vishal, but we could hear most of it, Vishal. Great, thanks for joining, Vishal. We'll move to Maushami. You're on mute.
Hi, sorry about that. Hi everyone, I'm Maushami Balachandran. I'm based out of Chennai. So I'm fairly new to IABC, and I have about 12 years of experience in corporate marketing, communication, and the last 2 years I've been working on internal comms as well. So that's that about me.
Great, thanks for joining, Maushami. She's just joined this March IABC. Okay, we have Lisa. Lisa is my colleague from Accenture.
Hi, everyone. I've been a communication professional for over 13 years now. I started my career with Text 100, now known as Archetype, and was there for 11 years and have been now with Accenture for 2 years. It's been a pleasure knowing about IABC, and thank you, Shubhamoy, for introducing me to IABC. Great to connect with you all here.
Thanks, Lisa, for joining. And yeah, moving to Sunit. Sunit, one of my former colleagues, very talented, India, 40 under 40 talent in India. Sunit.
Thank you, Shoma. Thank you for that kind recognition. Well, good morning, everyone. I've been in the space of corporate communications and public relations for well over 18 years now. And currently I lead the brand and communications for Deloitte South Asia.
Awesome.
It's great to connect and network and have some meaningful conversations with all of you here. Thank you.
Great, Sunit. We have a lot of members worldwide from Deloitte, and possibly there was a question, Zora, from Sunit on corporate membership, so that we can handle that at the end of the program. Anchal?
Sure, thanks.
Anchal Sapra, if you can speak and introduce yourself. I think
Achal may be on mute, but I can speak on her behalf. So Achal is my colleague in Deloitte, and she manages our digital channels, our social media channels, and our websites in Deloitte. Thanks.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for inviting her, Sunit. Moving to Shruti. Hi, Shruti.
Hi, Shubhamay, and hi, everybody. It's great to connect with all of you. I'm Shruti Bopaya. I used to be with Infosys and head internal communications for about 14 years, then decided to completely move tracks, and I now head comms and moved into a client management role with a fintech AI startup called Bridgewave. And it's very interesting, the challenges in a startup when it comes to, just communications, branding, and the IABC group, like you said, has really helped. And the best part about IABC for me was, of course, the Montreal conference that, I got and met a lot of you and speaking there. So look forward to actually renewing this year as well. So looking forward to hear all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Shruti, and congratulations on your new role.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we have Sunita. Sunita.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Looking at all the videos here, I was very tempted to put on the video. I know I'm just myself, no makeup, no, corporate attire. The hell, it's Saturday morning.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet all of you. This is my first year with IABC. Looking forward to a lot of learnings from all of you. I lead communications for Walmart, internal, external, digital, CSR, and all of that. So I just feel like, after 20 years in the industry, we have so much more to learn and give back. So that's the reason why I'm here.
Absolutely, Sunita. We'll look forward to your sharing your best practices and things like that in the ideas exchange towards the second half. We have, I think we missed Aradhana Prabhu. Tell us about SCORE, about Praxis, and the great things that you do.
So can you all see my video?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I think just a correction.
Okay,
I'm not with SCORE, but yeah. So I've been in the communication and PR field for about over 20 years. And I have spent half of that in the PR agency world. And currently I head global PR and communications at Zensar Technologies, which is an RPG group company. And I'm quite intrigued to understand how, some of the most dynamic professionals like all of us can learn from each other. So I'm looking forward to hearing more and, trying to get connected. So thank you.
Great, Aradhana. Sorry for that wrong introduction, but, we look forward to hearing from you more. We have Shefali Khanna joining in. Shefali.
Hi, good morning, Shubhamai. How are you doing? Very nice.
Great.
Very nice to see familiar faces. Hi, Rajiv. Hi, Suneet. I am one of the founding members of Astrum. I'm based out of Gurgaon. Hi, Anup. I'm just here for some new learnings on the Saturday morning.
Great. And I hope Ashwini is joining.
I'm not sure.
Okay, if you can just check with him because he has a speaker slot as well.
Yes, I will check.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Nice to meet all of you and look forward to a learning on Saturday morning.
Great. I think, Mo Chakraborty, I can see you if you can. You're also from Deloitte, right?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you can go ahead and introduce
Hi, yes,
yourself.
I'm from Deloitte. Yeah, I got the invite and I got interested in listening to some of you.
Awesome. I think, yes, we have Kristy from the board. Kristy from Malaysia, the rock star.
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm glad to be able to join this morning. Really, I'm here to learn from Zora and Danielle as well. I am Vice Chair of IABC Asia Pacific and previously President of IABC Malaysia. IABC has been a real learning opportunity for me as well. And I have thoroughly enjoyed both the World Conference and the Leadership Institute, and looking forward to actually meeting all of you probably at the next IABC event. Hopefully, I know it's a bit of a distance sometimes to travel depending on where the event is held, but it would be nice. I've met Shefali and that's lovely, and Colonel Rajiv and Subo, and yeah, it's nice to be able to expand the network in India. So, and
yes.
Thank you for your commitment considering it's a Saturday morning and so many names here. That's lovely.
Right. Great.
Hi, Kristy. Sorry, I forgot to mention you.
No, don't worry about it. I came in a little later.
Finally, Zora. Zora is the CEO of Artis Advisory in Australia, and she is, of course, the chair of the IABC Asia PAC region, and is a known figure in the IABC world, and is a great friend of mine as well. We've met several times at the big conferences and the Leadership Institute. Over to you, Zora. Zora, tell us about the big degrees that you have.
Like the degrees.
SCMP and things like that as well, so that others can know how they can also learn from you, right? Over to you, Zora, for the next 20 minutes.
Thank you. I won't spend too much time on myself. I've been a member since 2011, I think, when I went out on my own after working in advertising and marketing, and joined the communications community specifically. I became IABC Victoria's chapter president in 2012, did that for a year and a half, and then rolled off that board in 2015, joined the IEB from 2016 to 2019, and am now at Asia Pacific region. So by the end of June next year, it'll be 10 years consecutively in leadership, which is interesting.
Awesome.
I've got an SCMP, as does Danielle on this call as well. So that's a certification as a strategic communication management professional. I'm also a fellow of the Australian Marketing Institute and certified with them. And I'm a certified company director, and I've got a couple of master's degrees and an undergrad. So a bit of study has happened over the years. So I'm going to talk to you for about 15-20 minutes about the value of membership and a bit about IABC. I'm going to share my screen with you, so I'll just work that out in a moment, see how I do that. I might be a second. Share screen, this one. Okay, got it. Can you all see the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Awesome. Okay, so what I'm basically going to talk about is the value of membership, and I've spent a little bit of time here trying to find the right sort of photos, and I scrolled through IABC's Flickr, and there's quite a few people that you might actually recognise on that screen. We've got Colonel Rajiv up in the top left-hand corner, Kristy below him when she received the Chapter Leader of the Year award last year. And then we have Bish over in the middle on the far right as well.
Bish, yeah.
When he received his fellow award a few years ago. And then there's this one here is I think
me, yeah.
Yourself, yes. So there's a few there, but what we've got there are gold quills, we've got fellows, we've got learning from some of the world's best. There's Seth Godin there in the centre, Ethan McCartney. We've got people learning at either World Conference or at Leadership Institute, and bottom right, you've got myself and Danielle as well. So the value of membership I see is basically, I look at it as the connections that you can get, that it can actually help you when you need it. And those connections are across the globe. People are members of or connected to people on LinkedIn or on Twitter or places like that through those networks. But you can't get the same sort of connection that you can through IABC. With IABC, you can call any IABC member or contact any IABC member anywhere in the world and ask them for help, and they will give it to you every single time. You won't get that on LinkedIn. It's quite amazing, and particularly special right at the moment in the middle of this crisis. We have a lot of tools that you can use to leverage results. There's a lot available through IABC, through the website, through each other, through the hub, or just even by asking. There's a hell of a lot of content, leading content that keeps you informed. That's delivered on a weekly basis via email, but it's also available online. It's called Catalyst. It's via ibc.com, and it's accessible with your membership. There is some free content, but a lot of it's behind the member wall. There is access to best practices, again, through for members, but also beyond that, through a lot of gold quill entries, as well as leader development at chapter level. We have a lot of learning and professional development through chapters through the region, also through IABC internationally, through webinars, as well as delivery through events, which is now at the moment virtual. But also there is the IABC Academy, which is a training hub. You are able to build your professional profile through membership. I can't tell you how valuable it's been for me in building that over the last 10 years. It's just the reach, not just in communication sector, but beyond that, has been amazing all over the world. You can build your professional credentials as well through certification, but also through Gold Quill Awards and entries, through doing evaluation or judging of those awards, a whole range of different ways to do it. It's also about staying ahead beyond one discipline. So you might be a PR professional, or you might be a marketing professional, but you can actually reach out to a lot of different communication professionals across different disciplines. We're multidisciplinary. There's a lot of leadership development available as well. So through volunteering at IABC through chapters. And I thought I'd just mention the last point. The value is greater through active involvement. So there is value through being involved just generally, but if you're more active, then you actually have more value coming through to you. A little bit about us. This, oops, shouldn't be moving. This picture here was created by lots of photos by individuals putting that together at the last World Conference. And that person there putting the last piece in is Jennifer Andrews, who's from Wellington. So from the Asia Pacific region. It's just a beautiful piece. A little bit about us is that we, whoops, sorry, it's going backwards and forwards. We're a non-profit global association. It's our 50 years this year of IABC. Previously, it was the American Association of Industrial Editors, which started in 1938. There's over 80 chapters, I think about 82, 60 countries, there's 8 regions, there's 600 plus volunteer leaders. In APAC, we've got 13 chapters in 8 countries and members at large who don't belong to a specific chapter because they either have chosen to or they're too far away from a chapter. So they're in all sorts of countries across the region. The members are diverse. As I said, they're from a range of different disciplines. They're in-house, they're agency, they're independents. We tend to be skewed in our membership to mid to senior level, and there's a really good representation of business leaders and CEOs, plus there's also the foundation level communicators as well, which we are growing. Our vision is to have professional communicators at the heart of every organisation. Sunita, that's you at Vancouver from last year, which was really good to see. And you're also on the cover of that Catalyst magazine, I believe, which was great. Very excited to see 2 people from APAC on the cover of that mag. Our purpose is threefold: advancing the profession, creating connection, and developing strategic communicators. And I'll quickly take you through each of those. So the first one with regards to advancing the profession is all about demonstrating the impact on business and growing awareness of the profession as a strategic leadership function. Creating connection is about that peer-to-peer connection, about facilitating ways for us as professionals to interact with each other and support each other, which is particularly important right at the moment. And that last one, which is developing strategic communicators, that is about elevating us from being beyond tactical into that strategic space as trusted business advisors. In terms of advancing the profession, what we've done as IABC is we established the global standard. That was kicked off a number of years ago and has been developed further since by Global Alliance as well. But from the IABC perspective, we've developed 6 core principles which we believe strategic communication professionals should have. And that is ethics, consistency, context, strategy, analysis, and engagement. We evaluate our Gold Quill Awards against it. We also, our certification exams are also based on the gold standard, or global standard, not the gold standard. So it's quite consistent in how we apply it to everything. IABC has the Gold Quill Awards, which there was a blue ribbon panel, I believe, in India this year, which is fantastic. And there was a couple more through the Asia Pacific region. We won 35 in Asia Pacific this year, which is fantastic. You win a Gold Quill Award if you achieve the standard. You don't win a category, you win an award if you've achieved the standard. So the standard is above 5.25, you receive an award of merit, and above 5.75, it's an excellence award. In the Asia Pacific region, if you score above 5.12 in the gold quills, we will also award you a silver quill. And we do that at our conference. We have the IABC Fellows, which is pretty much an award for the most outstanding contribution to the profession. We are extremely excited that we have 3 fellows this year from the Asia Pacific region, including Colonel Rajiv, Adrian Cropley, and Ritzi Ronquillo from the Philippines. It's the first time we've had that, and the most fellows that can be awarded in 1 year are 5. So that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. The GCCC is an independent body, and it's offering certification, the CMP, which is the Communication Management Professional, and the Senior Communication Management Professional. There are 21 SCMPs in APAC, and we're hoping to grow that further. We also drive business acumen through quite a lot of training and professional development, because we believe it's really important to make sure that you're across the business and understand the languages business and speak it, and you're able to demonstrate your value to the business through alignment to corporate strategy. We have our code of ethics. Now, all members agree to follow the code of ethics when they become a member. There's 11 points to that. And the code of ethics is particularly important when you're doing your exam for the GCCC, just a hint. We also partner for thought leadership and research via the IABC Foundation. So you see a fair bit of that coming through as well. So create connection. At the moment, I would say it's unsurpassed community of sharing and generosity. It's just an incredible connection. We have the Hub, which is a online, it's a private member network basically. So you can only access it if you're an IABC member. At the present time, in one of the communities there, which is called the Lab, there are 7,500 members. There's 4,000 discussions going on. And what you find is you can pose a question of any type and someone will come and answer it for you. They will share their knowledge with you, and it's just instantly available. There, you can access the Brains Trust all over the world. It's an incredible tool. We also have Asia Pacific Midweek Comms drop-in during the COVID period, which is every Wednesday. 3:30 your time, 8 p.m. our time. I host that, so anyone can drop in. Feel free to come and chat. Okay. There's no agenda. We're running a mastermind circle for members at large. We've done them in person in Singapore, and we're about to start doing those virtually for members at large so they feel connected as well. There are virtual events across the whole world that you can actually connect to. We also have mentoring via Asia Pacific and chapters, either one-on-one or for the gold quill entries, so you can make sure that your scores are bolstered. And we also have lots of connections through, obviously through social networks. In terms of developing strategic communicators, we have a lot of content. Catalyst is our content hub. Some of it's free, but most of it's for members, and it's also distributed via EDMs each week. You are welcome to also write for Catalyst yourselves. So through ibc.com, you can find out how you can actually contribute content to Catalyst, and which is a fantastic way to also elevate your profile. IABC Academy has more than 30 online on-demand training programs available. There is a really good one that I must say I was involved with, so I'm going to let you know about it. It's called the IABC Model of Communication Excellence. It's based on the model for the Gold Quill program. It's delivered by 5 of us across the world. It's an excellent piece. There's also the all access pass to the Academy. So for one fee, you can access the Academy for 12 months unlimited access to it, which is amazing. There are webinars that we do regularly. There's public webinars that are available to everyone from IABC, as well as member only, and then they're always available on demand. So even if there is a webinar being done from North America and it's at a terrible time for us in Asia Pacific, still register for it because you'll get the recording after that, but you can always access it via ibc.com. We also do them in Asia Pacific at no charge. The World Conference and chapter-led events are an excellent way that we develop communicators through our professional development. We're now doing that virtually. There is leadership skill development via that volunteer leadership I mentioned at chapter, regional, and there's also international committee levels. And again, there's more through social. I was going to touch on these things. I'm not sure if you know about it. There's a COVID-19 resources page that's accessible via IABC.com, which is fantastic. It's regularly updated. So it's got everything relating to COVID-19 on there that you might find useful, including access to the discussions around COVID or anything related to COVID that's on the hub. So if you're not a member, you can still see that. There's a variety of templates. There's a whole range of information. It's a treasure trove. We kicked that off just more than a month ago, and we find that others have now copied that as well. We are providing support, which was just communicated this week, for communicators who are members as well as non-members who've been impacted through the COVID-19 crisis. So if you've lost your job, or you've been stood down or furloughed, or if you've lost significant income, particularly as an independent, IABC will support you with the equivalent of, it's about 5 months worth of membership free. It's 50% off the international dues, which is a fantastic offer for anyone renewing or joining by the end of May, which is really good. APAC has got a lot of free professional development webinars. We're increasing them now at this time. So there's one a month at the moment. Plus there's another 20 that have been done over the past couple of years that you can access via our website, and they're free to view. IABC Foundation is our charitable arm. We have the Gift of Communication, which is the most amazing event. At the World Conference, it's the first thing that actually books out, where communicators give their time for an afternoon to help charities. This year we're going to be doing it virtually. So Asia Pacific will be recommending charities. So I'd love to know of any charities you think are worth us recommending. So please feel free to drop me a line. IABC APAC also offers scholarships to the World Conference as well as to our regional conference. So when we put out an open call for those, so members are welcome to nominate, and you never know, you might actually get one of those, and they're quite valuable. Regional Fusion Conference, it was supposed to be held last month in Wellington. We postponed that clearly because of COVID. It's rescheduled to the 10th and 12th of February next year, still in Wellington. We have an open call for nominations at global level for IEB, for international task forces, and at the moment we've also got an open call for nominations for the Asia Pacific Regional Board. So that is open now until the 15th of May. So if you're interested in serving at the regional level, you're welcome to. We also have the virtual conference, which is the World Conference. That'll be held 14 to 17 June. We have a variety of different types of membership. We've got student and transitional membership. So students, when they've finished the university and then they're going into their first year of work, there's a transitional membership. There's group member discounts. So if you've got more than five or more members joining at once from one organisation, there's an additional 15% discount off the international dues. And then we have corporate member packages as well, which are different to the group membership. The group membership, you have the same value as you do as an individual or professional member, but you also get that 15% discount. As in corporate membership, there's 3 tiers. So it's a different package, it's a different value proposition. The tiers are up to 25 members, up to 50 members, or up to 100 members. You have unlimited access for all members to the IABC Academy, and they can be co-branded with your organisation's brand, or they can be white labelled if you're in the larger group. We also have the member-only access, as I said earlier, and there's an educational pathway for certification, including a number of free exam waivers for certification. There's a number of complimentary gold quill entries. There's free or discounted registration on top of your normal discount to World Conference, and there's access to an executive summit as well at the World Conference for corporates. There's a whole range of reasons why you would do it. It's elevating the standard of communication across the board. It's facilitating better access to ideas and best practice within your team. It allows communication professionals to stay on top of the trends, and it doesn't have to be just comms. You could look at broadening it to, to marketing, to brand, to HR, anyone who's involved in that communication side. It increases their effectiveness as well, and it's also a way to improve better collaboration and partnership within the team and with internal and external stakeholders. It gives you confidence as well that the communication team is trained and prepared for those professional credentials. And it's a good way of nurturing your people and developing their learning as well. So there you go. Thank you. That's my contact. So feel free, you've got my mobile and you can call me on at any time you like via WhatsApp or something like that. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or that's my Twitter handle, and that's my email address. And do check out IABC APAC's
Great.
website.
Thanks, Zora. Thanks so much for taking the time. I think we have Ashwini joining in the waiting room. If you could just let him in.
Let me see if I can find the waiting room. There he is.
Shubhamaya, he messaged me that he's waiting for the host.
That was me. And I was busy, so I've let him in now.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect timing.
Ashwini, sorry, yeah, we were keeping you outside, sorry. But
sorry,
yeah, please go ahead. We have the full quorum here.
Sorry. I was waiting in the waiting. I was parked in the waiting room.
Yeah.
I was busy. I was stuck. I was in the middle of talking, so I couldn't actually access it. Sorry.
I'm so sorry about this. I'm terribly sorry about the delay. Usually it's not me. I'm not like that, but this is just my oversight. I should have been more careful.
No problem, Ashwini. We're looking forward to hearing from you on the topic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's your turn already.
Look, we've just in fact it's quite timely, this conversation, because only yesterday we released a study of close to 70 CXOs across India about what they feel about the impact of COVID on their business industry, and what seems to be their prescription for revival. And so let me sort of give you some top headlines out of that, which may be relevant to a lot of communicators here to get the perspective from the C-suite. And then we'll talk about some of the challenges that they face during this crisis and what do they think are the big priorities for them. And that may set the context for communication in today's sort of webinar. So 2 or 3 top headlines. One, clearly there are significant immediate challenges to business, and business continuity and liquidity are the most pressing concerns of the C-suite at this point of time. I mean, that's the most important part. Will we be able to survive? There's cash flow and cash crunch, which is the most significant and the immediate challenge. However, they see the fact that, and most economists have talked about whether this will be a U curve or whether it will be a V curve. Indian industry seems to be pointing towards a V curve kind of, or a sharp U curve kind of recovery, with almost 80% plus CEOs thinking about the fact that the economy could revive into the next 9 to 12 months. That's the predominant view that we have a lag, and maybe as the lag goes, because there's no structural damage per se to the economy, so there could be a possibility of the economy reviving in the next 9 to 12 months, while the GDP growth for India would be maybe 2% or slightly less. So they seem to be optimistic about the fact that there is that the economy will come back. Therefore, if you think about what are the big lessons that they've learned out of this crisis, clearly this crisis is a moment of reflection, or probably even a watershed moment for them, because almost 70% of them are thinking about a reevaluation of the business model or business strategy. I think for communicators, this is a significant point, because it's an inflection point. As an inflection point from a C-suite perspective, as the business will pivot, what communicators need to do to assist that pivot, or how the reality of the business will change, will significantly impact every communicator, whether in-house or in the consulting space. So almost 60% of them are thinking about reevaluating their business strategy. Almost 40% of them are thinking about reevaluating the business model, right? They're thinking about digitization in a significant way, and innovation in a significant way as the top 3 or 4 things that is preoccupying the mind of the C-suite as they think about what they need to do in the future. Okay. Right? The last point that I would like to make is, so if that be true, what is it that they think are the success factors, critical success factors, which they see as important from not only today's standpoint, but also for the future? I think the first and foremost, by far, around almost 3 out of every 5 CXOs said that, was employee engagement. Engaged employees would be a critical success factor for them to survive this. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have people, really you don't have anything. So right. I think employee and engaged employees is their priority number 1. And as I have said so before, and I continue to say, and I'm very delighted to note that crisis preparedness and risk mitigation is occupying their mind space, thankfully now, because in the survey itself, 3 out of 4 executives said that they were not adequately prepared to handle a crisis and were mostly instinctive about the way they handled it, right? Only 9% of those said that they were prepared and they knew exactly what to do. So that tells you crisis and risk mitigation is going to be a very important aspect of their agenda. And the third, of course, is corporate reputation. But corporate reputation was a distant third, but and rightly so. At this point of time, the mind space is occupied by making sure. Interestingly, less than 3% talked about laying off employees. Right. So I think this understanding of the mind of the C-suite gives us a blueprint about what I believe is going to be the realities of communicators in the new the new normal. We talked about the new normal post 2008. The new normal. So the new normal itself is VUCA, right? So the new normal itself keeps changing. So that the dynamism of the new normal itself. So what are the 2 or 3 things? 1, how we engage stakeholders is going to radically shift as digitization even becomes more pervasive in every aspect of the business. If you think about telecommuting as a normal for people, work from home, you're going to see tremendous consumption of social media. You're going to start to see a lot more remote conversations. So digitization, as digitization becomes a significant platform, how will companies engage stakeholders, employees, customers, right, will obviously become a new norm. Right, today you may be doing virtual launches because you have a crisis and there's no other option, but you may not have a crisis, but will still virtual become a norm? Right. And then that creates a new reality for communicators to say, look, how do I put my hands around the aspect of digitization? It's no longer about social media, so SM, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're talking about significant digitization of every aspect of business. So I think that's, number one. Number two, while we have played significant role as amplifiers of message, and that continues to be a predominant use of the agency world. And this, my message is to those who are in the consulting world or in the agency world out there, and not to in-house communicators. The value of counsel, the value of consciousness, right? The consciousness, not conscious as in conscious, but consciousness, the purposefulness of the organization, how you become stewards of that counsel, how do you become stewards of that purpose? Because no longer it will be good enough to just articulate the purpose unless you're seen to be doing things that add value to the life of the stakeholders. So doing real stuff and cutting the wheat from the chaff is going to be an important role. As some of my friends in the C-suite said, this crisis has told us and taught us that hands and legs are no longer important, the mind is. Because the technology can do the job of the hand and leg, but it cannot replace the mind.
Right.
What do I need to do? And if you think about 70% of the executives saying most of what we were trying to do was instinctive in negotiating this crisis, you think about it, the value of a good counselor is multiplied many-fold. That's point number two. So when I talk about digitization, I talk about counsel. So when I talk about employee engagement, corporate reputation, or crisis and issues, it is all about the mind. So the value of the counsel, right? I think that's going to be a significant part. And a third, which I always have spoken in my entire 20 years of public relations, 20 plus years of public relations consulting, the value of insight. How people are able to decode what people are thinking, understanding, and then trying to bring back or encode messaging which are relevant to our audiences is going to become critical. Science and the application of science in the pursuit of creative thinking and creative communication is even going to be more and more important. So if you add that to on top of it to the point one of digitization, data analytics, science, analytics, quantitative analysis, qualitative science will all feed into how C-suite will be thinking and shaping the narrative or even the actions of companies in times ahead. So I think broadly, that's what my sort of sense is from what we are learning from our own experiences, from what we have spoken to CXOs in the recent past, and therefore the blueprint that I see as in the immediate and in the time ahead. So thanks very much. I hope that was in some way meaningful and easy to understand.
Yes, thanks Ashwini for sharing those insights. And I saw your LinkedIn post last night where you shared some of the. Yeah. I think if there is a link to a broader, access to the bigger data, that would be good. If not,
yes, you just write to Shefali. She'll send you the report.
Okay, great, and we can share among the members. It will be great.
Yeah, by all means, Shefali, if you're on the call, I'd be more than delighted to share it with my IABC fraternity, not only in India, but my colleagues in my colleagues in around the region. So by all means, anything is, I would be more than welcome to share it. So Chef, if you're on the call, please make sure that Shubhamoy has a copy of that report. And Shubho, I can request you to please share it with whoever you feel is appropriate, and certainly with our colleagues in and around the region. It will be an absolute delight and a pleasure.
Great, Ashwini. Thanks so much for that. Over to you, back to Zora and Daniela for an open house Q&A session. So anybody, if you have a question on the discussion earlier on the value of IABC, any of the terms that you did not understand or you want to know more about, you can just raise your hand and start speaking.
I can tell you that, look, I have pushed IABC content to my team across the board relentlessly. I keep telling them the quality of the conversation that's going on right now on the IABC IABC network is absolutely educating. So I keep sending all my stuff to my entire team. I have a WhatsApp group and an email group that goes instantly to everybody in the company. Every morning religiously, I pick up the content of IABC and share it with my team. It's absolutely educative. So I would highly recommend it to anybody.
That's great, Ashwini. That's nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwani. I just wanted to just make a bit of a comment on that really fabulous presentation, Ashwani. It's interesting that you were saying that for business, it's an inflection point for them, you know, how they respond to the crisis and looking at their business model and really challenging their ability to be innovative. And I think it's the same for our profession, isn't it? We're at an inflection point. If we can rise to this opportunity to help our organisations respond well, and for that U-curve to be as sharp a return to our, you know, economic performance and growth, the better we will be as a profession. I think it's such an important time.
True. No, Danielle, I think you're right. And it's a very interesting thing. And it is, there's some good news in it and there's some bad news in it. The inflection point reached to what I call a 25-25 principle in the mind of the CXOs. 25% less space, 25% less people.
So we need to be a lot smarter.
Yeah, so you think about it, 25% less space means you're now you're just saying that, look, I'm only going to have office for 25% of my people. 75% people will work remote or in the field. It's an asset-light model, right? And you're saying that only 25% of the people is what I'm going to have space for, and will work in the office. So, I mean, that's really, you think about what the whole model of communication changes, right?
Right.
So I think some people would say, but you know what? I mean, let's let the world find a vaccine, and this, you know, our old habits will come. I would say, yeah, that may be true, but this is a very different kind of crisis that we are facing. 2008 affected some countries, some good, some bad, some not so bad, but this has impacted almost every country in the world. And it's the worst economic crisis that the world is facing since the Great Depression. So I don't think we will get back to some old habits as we come out of this. We will have to be very conscious. But Zora, I invite your thoughts on this.
I agree. I don't think there is. We are going back to the normal that we were used to, and I think that's actually a good thing. I think we have an amazing opportunity to create a much better world that is more sustainable and that is kinder. One of the lovely things that I've noticed out of this crisis is the generosity of people and the kindness and giving of people. It's wonderful. So I have seen the best and I have seen the worst as well. But I'm really heartened by the positive aspects of it. And as a profession, we are at that point that we can really make a significant difference. And there are two extremes. There are people who are extremely busy, working long hours, particularly those in-house and the agencies that are supporting them. And then you've got the independents who've practically lost everything. Yeah. The ones that have got time on their hands have got that time. An opportunity to actually develop their skills, to develop that business acumen, which is really essential, to understand, how cash flow works, how risk really works beyond just reputation. There are so many different aspects of risk that people don't actually understand really well within the profession, and they should. So they've got a perfect opportunity now to actually do that.
You're making a very interesting point, and an idea has just struck me as you talk about the generosity. And given my 20 plus years being in the IABC network, I've seen how close knit this family is across the region, across the world. So I have a thought to share with you, Zora, as the chair of the region. We are going to see a certain amount of redundancies, work reduction that is going to happen. And I picked it up from your comment about independence. There's going to be a lot more blood on the street. may I recommend that if we create a platform of an independent set of freelancers, workers who are looking for a marketplace of sorts, to be able to say, look, if you are a good content writer, it doesn't really matter whether you're in Australia or Singapore or anywhere in the world. If I'm looking for somebody to write good copy for me, I could just connect with that person. It works it in two ways. One, it creates a commerce within the community. And two, it allows us to support fellow IABC members or others who may be looking to do freelance, to temp, and maybe temporary available. I mean, there's a whole lot of opportunities here as to how we can create a shared set of resources. And the second big reason I see this is as we start to pivot about the business, the asset-light model is going to become more and more prevalent, because we are not going to be able to carry those kinds of costs. Now, sudden contraction of costs and overhead is killing the people, right? Because the cash flows aren't there to sustain. So people are going to become even leaner and meaner in their operations. So maybe if we were to create an extended family of IABC sort of members or others who may be looking to farm out work or share work with each other, not just agency or otherwise. I'm saying, is there a possibility of something like that?
Well, there's 2 points. There is a section on the hub, which is the member network, which is called Marketplace. So not that many people are involved in that. They're more involved in the section called the lab, where there's the discussion flow.
Correct.
But in the marketplace is where you can actually sell yourself or look for people or whatever. So that could be utilized. I had an idea, and I haven't developed it further yet. I was going to start locally within the region. I was personally just going to start this off because I'm an independent, so I'm going through that.
I'm too.
So it's harsh. And I was going to start a Google Doc or something like that, where as you can actually put your details down and say, this is what we have on offer. If you need XYZ, come to me. But I was going to do it with the proviso that we show that generosity, and if there are small organisations that can't afford it or not-for-profits, we're happy to give maybe 2 or 3 hours a week. So there's a portion of giving, and then the rest is not for.
So here's my suggestion to you. Having worked with Microsoft for a long period of time, go do some Kaizala. Look at Kaizala as a tool.
What's it called?
Kaizala.
Okay.
It's like a WhatsApp, but WhatsApp for enterprises or for groups. Right. So it has the security, the feature, the commerce, the collaboration that WhatsApp doesn't have, and it's very, very safe.
All right. Well, Microsoft is our partner in APAC, so that's fine.
Correct. So I'm saying, and I have very good friends who run Microsoft here in India, and they I have neighbors. They've been advocating Kaizala to me for a long while. They've been telling me to put my entire community. I also am the president of the community I stay in. So they've been telling me to put everybody on Kaizala. But I can tell you that if we learn about Kaizala more, perhaps it will become a vibrant sort of marketplace by itself, where we can exchange information and people can respond. My experience has been that the more we start informally and the more we create a network of independent sort of relationships, the better it gets people together. So if you're comfortable, by all means, I have Kaizala. If you look at it, send me you and I can chat separately. We can initiate this.
We can do that.
And actually make it the IABC Asia Pacific Kaizala freelance network.
We can do that. That's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah. I think we'll get a lot more traction for us in the region than just sort of talking like this on the webinar. I would love to be connected to a lot more of my IABC colleagues around the region.
Cool. Happy to do that.
Zora, I've just pasted a link.
Work. Look, I have a small niche company, and we do some very high value work. So I'm always looking for independent freelancers because I run a very asset light model. I don't believe in very heavy assets. We're a virtual cloud company. So I'm always looking for good people to farm work to, and it doesn't really matter to me where they're located in the world.
Good.
So it's just that my thought. So if we create a network, wonderful. I'd be more than happy to get work and give work.
Same. Thank you. That's how I work as well.
Great.
I'm happy to keep answering. I'm happy to answer questions, Subo.
Yeah,
So
very quiet.
Right. Anybody has got any questions? Quickly, I think we are just ran out of time.
I think Anup had a question.
Anup, yeah. Anup, anything that you want to share as well from the PRCI community?
Yeah, actually, I would just like thank you all as a community, and Ashwini. I mean, we have been chatting off and on, and I would be candid that while I am not a member, but I keep following you, Shubhamoy, and the whole group, and keep taking a lot of tips which we use. Ashwini has been a part of our industry directly and indirectly. By say indirectly, because now he does a lot of work where he represents the industry in various forums. The 2-3 things which we at PRCI have found is that this is the time of actually collaboration. And there we are realizing, particularly as communicators, is that you can't survive on. I mean, Ashwini said that it's not the legs and arms, it's actually the mind. And luckily with communicators, we all realize that we have the best of minds, not just our community, but we work with the people we work with. So what we are doing primarily at 3 levels. One is that we are trying to see as an industry, how as communicators we can reach out to the civil society bodies, NGOs, government, and the other fraternities in terms of giving the message of protection against COVID. The second is, of course, we are working very closely with the business heads, both from the corporates as well as the who represent our clients and then our member firms, about how to do business continuity. And there we take a lot of inputs from organizations like yours and other platforms. The third is which is very critical, which you all have touched, is that this is leading to a lot of tensions in a different capacity. In unprecedented times, the mental health is becoming a big problem. So we have started a campaign on that, support each other. And there again, like in our website, like you all, what we have taken is that we have created a resource section where it's an outsourced and a crowdsourcing model. We have actually put links to IABC, and we keep some of the mails which we keep getting, we try and pass it to our community saying that why don't you participate and feel. Because the 2 things which came out very strongly is that there is a sense of guilt which is coming to a lot of our professionals, whether they are business leaders or that, am I doing anything for my own organization, my community, my teams? And the second is to the society. So I think there is something where we all can again look at, again, leaders like you all and the community. And so that's there. So at PRCI now, the couple of stuff which we have started is we said, talk to a friend. We reach out to a few professionals. They can just write to this panel, discuss. We have weekly calls. Then we are tying up with various platforms. We do webinars, conferences. Wherever we see there is a good opportunity, we try and pass on the message. And the whole idea being collaborate, create, and just coexist. That's it from me.
No, well
done. Sunita here. I don't have a question, but I have a request. This is such a well, done event, and this is the first time I'm actually seeing everybody in person. So it'll be nice if we can just do like a happy hour one of the days, just to go around and talk to each other about what they're doing in their world and how we can actually lean in on each other specific to, India community.
So we call this party the quarantini party.
That's what my Wednesday chat's like. You bring your own drink. I think we've got Vishal and then Rajesh. Vishal?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, actually, there's a question, in fact, been trying to inquire from a lot of guys from IABC, is that having a certification center in India for appearing for, these exams. Last year, there was one I missed out because I was traveling. So I'd even paid some amount of fee for that. So I need some insight if anybody can share that more, so that we can appear for these exams and take it forward.
Yeah, or even online.
Yes.
It won't be done online for a while because of the accreditation process that we're going through to get the ISO accreditation takes a bit of time, and there is a full change of process for virtual proctoring. So the proctoring has to be in person. So once you're able to travel, the chapter can host a certification exam. You only need one person to be sitting for certification to be able to host an exam. APAC will do it as well when we have a conference. But it can be done in a company, it can be done at a chapter. So as long as there's one person who wants to do it and you can find someone to proctor, it's fine.
Yeah. The new realization of digitization, Vishal, everything's on the cloud now. You don't have to worry about a center.
Yeah, right. So Vishal, you got your answer. So we can do that. Even if it's one person and at a chapter level, we can
proctor for you if you want. Whenever you take the exam, call me. I'll proctor for you.
Yeah, I just have a point to make that last year I was the proctor. It was the first time we were holding the certification exam in India. And it was just one person who underwent the exam, and I proctored that exam. So if we have more people, I think it's now, of course, it's all online, but the process has started in India also.
Yes. Kalosa, how are you?
Good.
There's also a webinar on IABC APAC on certification, which explains how to prepare for it and gives you hints. So that's freely available. So just have a look at that.
Zora, I have a quick question. We were going to delay the conference, right? So I think the regional conference is now what?
February the 10th to the 12th of February 10 and 12. Yeah, 10,
Next
11,
year?
12. Yep.
Okay. So that's okay. That's
Yeah, it's fine. So we'll probably need more speakers.
The global conference is going ahead though, just virtual.
And so far Singapore or where?
In June, right? Virtual.
14th to the 17th is the virtual conference for the World Conference. There is a IABC calendar of all the virtual events on iabc.com. I'll email Subo the link. I think there was another question. Rajesh?
So there was this, when Ashwini was talking, he talked about two points that struck me. One was that this is an inflection point for corporates. And the other part which is connected was he used a term, he called that third on the list of CXOs as reputation. Now that's a very interesting term, and I'm glad that Ashwini used that term, reputation, because as communicators, we do not position ourselves very rightly. I think as a community, as communicators, we have undersold ourselves over the last few decades. I take strong objection to the term PR because that does not actually tell the story of what we do. And in India, especially, the way the companies look at us, whether it's in-house professionals or whether it is consultants, when you call yourself a PR professional, they look at you differently. It's not more of a strategic or an advisory role that they see you as. When the fact is that, it's all about reputation for an organization, whether you are in-house or whether you are a consultant, you are helping them either to manage or to enhance a company's reputation. And that is more strategic. It's more message oriented. It's not about, we in India are still about visibility, about how many media clips you get. And it's not about that. It's not been about that for many, many years. And I know while, a lot of the media tracking agencies have gone against advertising value equivalent, AVE, and PR value, a lot of companies still look at PR value to allocate budgets for communications. We are still seen as a cost center and not a profit center. So I think as an inflection point, it is also time for us to reposition ourselves, to move up to the next level as strategic advisors that Ashwini also spoke about. And it's very critical how we manage to do that. Otherwise, we'll again remain where we are. Brand people have done a wonderful job of selling themselves with brand value and brand valuations, and companies like to TomTom, $36 billion of brand value, etc. We as communicators haven't been able to do that. And I think as a community, it's an interesting point and an important point for us where we can do that as strategic advisors and contributors to companies' reputation.
True.
Yeah, I've always, for the last few years, I've been saying, if the late 1990s and the early 2000s was the information age, now there is such an overload of information that it's now reputation age.
Yeah.
The credibility of the source of information is more critical than the information itself. We are flooded, our WhatsApps are flooded with all kinds of forwards from all kinds of people, and we don't know what to trust. So we've started relying on the credibility of the individual and the organization that is sending us the information.
Vishal, you should read a book called The Reputation Economy.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in understanding the centrality of reputation in the new economy. It's a fantastic read. I make it a mandatory read for everybody who's in my firm. So your speech was music to my ears, my friend. Keep it up.
So was your words, Ashwini, when you said reputation. I couldn't be happier, because as communicators, we need to position ourselves.
I banned AVE in my public relations firm in the year 1998. I have not done AVE since year 1998 is the year when I founded Impact. I would fire anybody, my client or my members of my team who I caught doing advertising value equivalence calculations. They were fired on the spot.
To tell you the other side, the only way I could, at HSBC, the only way I could get an increased budget was if I went to the CFO and said that, these are my team's costs. And in terms of AVE, the only thing that they understand is return on investment and dollars.
I'll give you some very, look, I have written all my life on measurement being the holy grail for public relations. Correct. So Impact, as you know, I founded Impact in 1998. It is India's first media analytics, media intelligence business, right? And now I run Astrum, which is actually propagating the use of science and research and measurement through public perception studies, right? So the CXO study that I will share with Shubhamoy, I'm sure you'll get a copy of it, is nothing but a study of the minds of 70 of the top CEOs in this country. Now you tell me, what more evidence do you need to understand the mind of the CXO to create your blueprint for communication? It's simple, right? So I think what you're saying is very pertinent. Let me just give you one of the lessons I learned. In the good old days of old Genesis, I converted the company into communication consultancy and all of that, exactly for the reasons of the reason why you thought about PR and public relations. But Harold said something very interesting. Harold Burston, of course, God rest his soul, he's passed on. I consider him my teacher and a mentor in many ways. Harold said something very simple. He said, look, public relations is public relations. It's what you do with that tool and how you present yourself in the practice of that profession that defines it. Unfortunately, we as practitioners of public relations haven't done great service to the profession itself. So large part of the blame for where the world sees us lies with us as practitioners who haven't been able to raise the bar of how people see us. And it's an oxymoron by itself, right? We think we are the protectors of reputation of the entire world, but we live with the stigma of our own reputations, right? Of the public relations world. So it's ironic too.
If I might actually add on something, it's Kristy from Malaysia. Rajesh, I really, really agree with you about how well brand marketers have done in terms of proving their value and showing those studies. I was listening to an excellent webinar recording, which I'll share. It's from IABC, and it was about how strategic advisors can add value. And what I loved about the webinar is it clearly showed, I think, about 5 or 6 communication professionals, and their track record was very measurement and statistics based. So we got information like Kristen, she increased productivity by 8.5%. She saved the company $700,000, and when it was measured in such a way, and all their activities and their campaigns were tied to business outcomes, it really made it put them in an entirely different level. Suddenly you're no longer just a public relations personnel or a staff, but you are a strategic advisor who has got a track record where there was a quote somebody said, it's not about getting to the table, it's what you do when you're at the table. And I love this webinar. I have to remind myself to share it on LinkedIn because I'm pretty sure it's one of the free recordings available. I'll go ahead and post it in the chat. I'll find it, put it in the chat, and I think it will be the first step to getting that out to everyone.
Kristy, you said something interesting. It reminds me of a speaker at IABC Washington, my first global conference. And I was a young sort of practitioner coming into the profession recently. And I was a practicing business manager. I'm not a communicator. I have no professional qualifications in communication. I'm a business graduate. And the first thing that the lady said, who was talking about measurement, she says, all the communicators are from Venus and the CEOs are from Mars. Right? Mars guys want data. They want numbers. They say, look, what's happened to my business? And the communicators are all fuddy-duddy, nice, soft, human emotion. So they can never meet. They remain from Mars and Venus. So what you just gave an example of exactly how Venus actually got onto the table with the Mars. So you're right. If the more evidence we put behind communication, the more respect, credibility we get in the boardroom.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I concur.
Oh.
I just wanted to share a conversation I had with my COO this week, and he was before becoming COO, he was the CFO. So he's absolutely a numbers guy. And I was talking to him about how he might want to share his perspective on what it was like to manage the business at this time, because it's very unusual times, as we know. And what was really interesting was that he felt that the predictors of success and how we will get through this well were actually not so much number metrics. They were actually more about the culture of the organisation and its resilience and its ability to be collaborative and innovative. And that was definitely a shift in my previous conversations with him. And I think something for us to remember, because this is to your point, Ashwani, about the C-suite wanting counsel. You know, they aren't able to predict how their organisations will succeed just looking at historical numbers and the usual levers that they pull. You know, this is where we can really add huge value by sharing insights about organisational culture and how communications and engagement can really help you advance and be more successful.
Yes. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think there is any doubt about the fact that our ability as communicators to be great listening posts, right? And a valuable listening post for the organization, both externally and internally, and translating that listening post into valuable information and insight into the boardroom serves a very important person. So as I said, there are two roles I see as communicators. One, of course, is the fact that we are great encoders and decoders of inception, but we're also conscience keepers, right? At the end of the day, if there's somebody who has to show the to the CEO, who should that person be? So to that extent, I also talk about the fact that we are the chief conscience keeper of an organization, to be able to make sure that the hand on the rudder is in the right direction. Because if you think about corporate scandals or reputation risks, the most significant risks come out of the boardroom, and that come out of lack of governance. So you're absolutely right that the way we encode information and provide insights into the boardroom is a very valuable role as a listening post. I couldn't agree with you more on that.
To your point, Ashwini, I think, you know, as creators of messaging for a company, there is a favorite serial of mine called West Wing, and it had a dialogue. All great actions start with words.
Yeah.
So when the speech writers are talking and they say, you know, sometimes we are the ones that give the ideas to actions. So when we are creating messages for the external and the internal world, we are probably giving ideas, and we also in our day-to-day work, we undersell that aspect as well.
Yeah, no,
we are doing a lot more than what they see, and in fact, they are doing a lot more than what we ourselves see.
Well, you know, I want to share a small story with you, which is a defining moment in my life. Early, I think in 1998, early 99, Zora and Daniel, you may not be familiar with the name, but there's a significant group here called the Max Group. It has interest in insurance, healthcare, and other related assets. The promoter of this group actually made a lot of money selling his stake into Li Ka-shing in Hong Kong from his telecom asset. So we were doing this exercise with Mr. Analjit Singh, the chairman of the group, about how the group needs to think about its new reality and the new messaging and what should be the communication structure for the new group. We went through this whole exercise for a day. You know what the chairman said to me at the end of the day? He says, "Thank you for doing this exercise. He actually has given me greater clarity about where my business needs to go." That is the profound impact of a well collaborated, well engaged messaging activity with the boardroom, and that is the power that communicators bring to the table. And to the point that Daniel made about culture and the point you are making, Rajesh, about messaging, it is actually quite powerful. We undervalue consistently the addition that we can make into the CEO's mind space.
You're right. I 2 years ago, I was when I was CEO of an agency. I was doing the brand strategy and marketing and communication strategy for a law firm that was expanding into different sort of services, and they needed to be repositioned. They're about 100 years old, and after going through that brand strategy process, I was approached by the capital partners, and they asked me to develop their corporate strategy. So I then ran the corporate strategy session for them so they understood how to develop it, set their vision, all of that sort of stuff, redefine their values, the whole piece. So yeah, you can have that impact.
No, that's powerful. I mean, I'm sure all of us will have many such stories to share. But the thing is, what disappoints me as time is we completely undervalue ourselves by focusing so much more on the know-who as far as rather than the know-how that we bring to the table.
Very good point.
You couldn't have said it better.
Right. So our business is always about, I don't know, who do you know, rather than, okay, how much do I know? Right. If I don't have any know-how, what difference does it make if I know 10 more people? I'll be as idiotic as I can be to them. In fact, I'm a greater risk.
Yeah. Right. I think thanks everyone and it was a great to hear those anecdotes and stories from you, Ashwini and Zora. Any last word from you, Zora, to wrap it up? If anybody has any questions, you can still raise your hands. But
thank you. Happy to host any more of these as you want. I just want to say thank you for joining in on the conversation this morning on a Saturday, and I'm sure Danielle and I'm speaking for you, Danielle, but we would love to be connected with all of you, so do reach out to both of us via LinkedIn and Twitter. As I said, get involved. The more you get involved, the more you will get out of IABC. If you have any questions about anything, we're always here, happy to talk, happy to help in any way you need. And drop in on the chat on Wednesday. It's on every week.
Yeah,
and you'll have people from all over the world. They all drop in from everywhere. The only place we don't get is west coast of North America because it's too early for them.
It's too early for them.
Well, absolute delight and a privilege. Always good to see colleagues in the IABC network and the extended family of communicators, PRCI, Anup, and others, Kanal Rajiv Kumar. So they've done so much more to give to IABC over the years. So it's been a real privilege. Zora, Danielle, great to have met you both virtually. I hope to remain connected and see you in face-to-face or meet you in person at some point of time. Absolute privilege to everybody to give me the opportunity to be able to talk to you. You have all a nice weekend, and thank you very much.
All wish all the same.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Have a great
Thanks,
day.
everyone.
All right, Danielle.
Thanks, Daniela.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristy. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks and bye.